Hey there everybody, Casket King here, and I'm here with my top 10 favorite PlayStation 1 games. Now if you're like me, you grew up in the 90s, and you either had a Nintendo 64 or a PlayStation 1. And if you were real lucky, you had both. In my case, I had PlayStation 1, and I loved every minute of it. You know, I remember back when I was in like the third, fourth grade, I'd come home from a long day of school, I'd plop down in my chair, and I'd play some of these games, and it was just the best time ever that I can remember. And there's a lot of nostalgia there. And sadly, I don't own any of these games anymore. I regret selling them every day. And before we go off with my top 10 favorite PlayStation 1 games, let's start with an honorable mention. And that mention is Silent Hill. Now I remember playing Silent Hill, and I remember it being very difficult. Every door was locked, and I remember sometimes where you had to backtrack for quite some time to find a key or whatever. But basically, you play as Harry Mason, you're looking for your daughter, and there's fog, and there's just freaky monsters everywhere. And that pretty much continued through the whole series up till now. And that's for the honorable mention. Now on to number 10. Soul Blade. Now, I don't remember much about Soul Blade, but I remember it was really fun playing. And at the time, its characters were very original. Now, if you've never heard of Soul Blade, don't feel too bad. Not a lot of people have. Because it kept changing its name over and over. Originally, it was Soul Blade. Then it became Soul Edge. And eventually, it became Soul Calibur, as everyone refers to it now. Pretty much. Number 9. Toy Story 2 video game. Now, I used to love playing this game even after I beat it, because you could run around and imagine whatever story you wanted. And the level designs were very imaginative. You would see things as a toy would. And it was awesome. On to number 8. Crash Bandicoot Warped. Now you play as Crash Bandicoot, and you're trying to stop the evil Neo Cortex from trying to take over the world or whatever by collecting 3 different kinds of crystals from like 70-something different levels, and then there's like a secret area, which I never really finished. And it has a ton of replay value, and I think it's a lot better than some of the newer Crash Bandicoot games. Let me know if you agree with me. Number 7. Legend of Dragoon. Now, Legend of Dragoon was a very hard game. It's kind of like Final Fantasy, but in some ways, I think it's better. It came with 4 discs, and now let me tell you about the story. You play as Dart. You're coming home from this big journey to kill the big black monster that killed your family in your hometown. And like this whole adventure just starts happening all around you. It's a pretty decent game. It's pretty long, and it's got some very good music. Like there's this one room where it's full of stars. You just go in that room with the music play. Just chill out and do whatever. I never could beat the final boss though. I always ran out of health potions. So if you can, try and save your health potions if you're ever playing this game. Because that final boss is a bitch. On to number 6. Parasite Eve. You play as Aya, and you're trying to stop Eve, who is some sort of mutation. And, well, so are you. You're a mutation too. But you're trying to stop her from spreading this mutation gel goo shit, all around the world. And it's a pretty fucked up game. There are a couple of CGI cutscenes where you actually see some animals like transform into these mutants, and if you're squeamish, it kind of hurts to watch. Also, there's like this one scene. Well, I don't want to give it away, but it's pretty fucking nasty. Probably wouldn't let your kids watch. It was also made into a movie in Japan, which I have not seen yet. It's also not in English. And there is a part 2 of this game, but in my opinion, part 2 just really sucks. And, you know, this is just a really good game. I thought it had a really good battle system. And, you know, the monsters were kind of imaginative. If you ever see this game, you know, pick it up. Give it a try. If you like it, try and get part 2, but in my opinion, it wasn't as good as the first one. On to number 5. Mega Man Legends. Now, I absolutely love this game, and I am very mad at myself that I ever even considered selling it. You play as Mega Man, you know, you got this big open world, big bright colors, and there's all these characters in a town, and like all sorts of dungeons and shit. And there's like all these different like weapons you can collect, and it's just really fucking awesome. It's got great music, it's got really good controls in my opinion, and I just freaking loved it. I played it for hours and hours. And it's like my favorite Mega Man game of all time. There's also a part 2, which I was never able to find, and I kind of wish I was able to play it. But if you ever see a copy of this game at like a flea market or a pawn shop or wherever, definitely pick it up, because I guarantee you're going to like it. The end boss is pretty fucking hard, though. I'm going to tell you that right now. For the most part, I just had fun running around the island. On to number 4. Cardinal Sin. In my opinion, one of the best fighting games ever released on the PlayStation 1. There are so many different kinds of characters, and so many different characters you can unlock. It's amazing. And even after you unlock all the characters, you can unlock a dragon. You can play as a dragon, and that is freaking awesome. There's like one dude is a knight, and then there's like a thief, and like there's 2 guys who are a zombie. And like there's these other characters, but they're kind of fucked up, and they're really cool. And I just think it's a really good game. You know, it's very balanced in the way the characters are made. You know, the stats, you know, one may be stronger, but one might be faster. And it really just comes down to skill, and not who has the better character. And in my opinion, I think it either needs a sequel or a remake, because it's freaking awesome. You know, if you like fighting games, check it out. I'm pretty sure you'll like it. On to number 3. Rogue Trip Vacation 2012. Now, it's a lot like Twisted Metal, but I think it is 100 times better. I think it has better characters, better cars, and better levels. You basically play as an auto mercenary and take tourists around to see all these different levels owned by Big Daddy. And each level is pretty much a free-for-all where you have to kill every other car in the level to win, to go to the next level. And each level is completely different than the one before it. And the music in this game is great. And the best thing about this game is it also doubled as a CD. You pop it in your computer or your CD player, and you can listen to the music from the levels. And that just blew my mind when I found that out. I actually owned the game for like 6 years before I even thought of doing that. It actually worked. So yeah, there's a little surprise there for you. Also, when playing the game, you're going to want to play on 2-player, because beating the final boss alone is nearly impossible. On to number 2. Resident Evil 1 Director's Cut. Now, what can I say about this game that hasn't already been said? I mean, it's the first Resident Evil. It may not be the best Resident Evil, but it is definitely my favorite. And it's a hell of a lot better than 4, 5, and, well, I haven't actually played 6, but who knows, it may be better. But I just love the director's cut. I think it's better than the original Resident Evil 1. And, you know, it was just freaking awesome. I mean, it had zombies, it had some jump scares. I mean, hell, I've got the layout of the mansion tattooed on my brain. I mean, you had the giant snakes, and you had that dude at the end of the game. It was, like, almost impossible to kill. Then you get the rocket launcher, and then boom, he's, like, dead. And, like, you have no idea how long it took me to beat that game the first time around. Like, we had no idea you had to open the books. If you've never played Resident Evil 1, you won't get that reference. If you have, then you know what I'm talking about. On to number 1. Digimon World 1. Now this thing has a cult following, and it is freaking awesome. I had this game for like 10 years, and I logged at least over 1,000 hours on it. And after 5 or 6 years, I was finally able to beat it. I never did beat it 100% though. You know, I got all the characters to the city. There was a lot of other stuff that could have been done. And I regret selling it. I really do. Because they're getting harder and harder to find, and they just quit working for some reason. But pretty much you play as this guy in a yellow sweater and a beanie hat, and you raise your own Digimon to bring the Digimon back to File Island, and it takes some work, I'll tell you that right now. And the worst part of the game is when your partner dies, you know, of old age, or if they just die from battling. And it's like raising a little keychain pet, but like 100 times better because it's in like 3 dimensions. And it has some pretty good music. You know, maybe if you just want to put it on your iPad, and you're just on the bus and you want to chill out, you know, listen to some music, you know, check it out. It's pretty cool. And I've played this game more than any other game I've ever owned. I mean, I absolutely loved this thing. You know, I've played 2, it was alright, 3 was okay, 4 sucked beyond belief, and like the rest of them are on Nintendo now, for some reason. I've only played like one of them on Nintendo. It was okay, I guess. But the good thing is you can play it on PSP if you hack it, which is kind of cool. But I don't own a PSP, so that doesn't really help me. But this was like the best game ever, and if you ever happen to find a copy, pick it up, give it a try, see if you like it. I'm sure you will. It's like Pokemon, but you only get one monster. But, you know, it was like the best game ever, and I hope one day I'll find another copy. But this has been my top 10 favorite PlayStation 1 games. As always, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next video. Bye.